Hello? Hello? Why does it say offline? I pressed the wrong button. Is anyone out there? Ah, hello. Good morning, evening, afternoon, etc., etc. Hope everyone's having a pleasant Wednesday. Hello. David, glad you're here. You ran a C++ dev team for 18 years and you want to see what the new changes are to C++? Well, you're in luck because I'm on a quest to use everything and try out everything, and not in a sort of gratuitous way, more of just like we are using modern C++, and I'm trying to take full advantage of that and talk about the features as we go along, hopefully explain some things. Yeah, so that's kind of it. Queco, hello. Moose, Julian, hello. Yeah, I'm not wearing... Why is it so dark? Not wearing the dinner jacket and Dicky Bow today. I was tempted for the stream, but maybe the stream after the video. We'll see. Did the Discord announcement go out? No. I think there's a button I need to press. Okay. Okay, nailed it. Yes, it has now because I pressed the button. I think there's a button that I need to press. AC is busy this evening and he's done an awful lot of work in setting this Discord up. But he basically said that if it doesn't go out, there's a button I need to press. I need to tell me where the button is, and that's kind of my limit of understanding. The Discord has a bus index of 1, and it's not me. So I'm really trying to figure out a bit more what the amazing job he's done in setting it up, trying to make sure I understand a little bit more of the back end of it. Maro, hello. Connor, hello. Okay. Why none of my... Oh dear. That's sad. Why is that not working? Hang on. I'm still having this perpetual issue, which I don't quite understand, where Google thinks there's suspicious activity on my account, and it's just all the things that I have logged into my YouTube account for streaming, so StreamerBot, Stream Deck, anything with a stream in it, and for some reason it keeps signing me up. Why is this going so dark as well? What is going on? I need recolor balancing a bit. Wow, off to a flying start today. I'll clip this bit out. Well, I mean, I won't, but I should. Where's the streamer deck? What's going on? Why is this not doing what it should do? Okay, well, I have no idea how many people are on YouTube, so that's fine. Well, I guess we'll just guess. It's not the end of the world. It amazes me that anyone shows up and listens to me prattle on. So, what are we gonna do today? So I've kind of got... no, I've not tried GNU DDD yet. Add it to the never-ending list of things that I need to look at. Okay, so let's switch, and then let's get up what we've got, and then we'll talk about what we want to do today and over the next few streams as well. So we've been slowly kind of refactoring in the name of gameplay to try and structure things a little bit better, to try and make things a little bit easier to extend. Right, here we are. So we've got the basic rendering set up. We've got the skybox, we've got meshes, we've got textures, we've got HDR, we've got gamma correction, we've got a few other bits and bobs. And the idea is that we have some logic based on these barrels where they kind of move in relation to us. One moves with us, one moves opposite to us, and they both only do the thing when you're looking at them. So if I put him on this little cross section here, and then I look away, he doesn't move, and he only moves when he comes back into visibility. So that's where we've gotten so far. I'm not doing any more stuff on the graphics for the moment, so no bloom at the moment. I don't think it's necessary for what we need. What I want to do is focus a bit more on the gameplay, and then we can tart it up later. So in my mind, there's 3 things that need doing. The first is, so we've got this 4 things that need doing. We've got this level apple. We've just chosen fruits because they're kind of, it's relevant. We're going to throw them all away at the end, but I just didn't want them numbered because that implies an ordering. And I didn't want to name them after what's in the level because that is restrictive. So we've gone for apples. I think Queco suggested fruits. So I want to change this to actually be a level with a complete condition. So I think 2 barrels, 1 static, 1 moves. And when you get that moving one to intersect with the static one, that's the level complete. It's not particularly exciting, but it's the plumbing that we need. So that's kind of the first thing. The second thing is I want to remove, I was thinking about this, I want to remove this method, this complete method here, because that should go on the message bus, right? We shouldn't be polling the level to see if it's correct. We should wait for the level to tell everyone or all the subscribers that it is done, and then we should react accordingly. So I want to bin that off, which then means all this logic then needs to go into an object so we can subscribe and have a callback for it. So all this needs to get lifted and shifted over to new class, and then when the level is complete, it can print a message and die or do whatever it does. So that's kind of where I'm at with this. And then the final thing is to make the levels a little bit more data driven, so load them from a YAML file or something like that, and then we can start rapidly iterating on them. So I think that's what we're going to do first. That's my plan for today, is to start going through this. So I want, where were we? We were here. I think I just want 1. It's not really particularly exciting, but it's definitely like the groundwork we need. Yeah, then we can like load the next level, that kind of thing. But I think the game object will handle that. It will receive the message, it'll receive a message on the bus saying this level is complete, and then the game will be like, okay, on the next tick, I'll unload the previous level, load the next one. I don't know what's going on, but it keeps loading the game behind, which is not what I want. So I'm gonna get it down to 2 barrels. And then when 1 static, 1 dynamic, probably the one that moves with us because it's just easier to conceptualize. So get rid of that. Then we've got 2 entities. We've got the static one, and then we've got the one that moves with the camera delta when it's visible. And then basically what we could probably do is have this return entities dot naught dot, have I got entity position dot, do I not have dot distance? Interesting. Okay, fine. I thought I had a distance method. I've been going back and forth a lot in my mind over whether I want free methods, static methods, member methods, or some sort of CPO-based ADL restrictive lookup. I think I want free methods, but I seem to have gone with static methods, so I'm just going to stick with that for now. But I like the idea of being able to express the functionality of an object just in terms of its public interface. So the public interface is just the things that require access to the private interface. So members that need access to the internals and getters and setters, and then everything else, I like the idea that you can kind of just create free functions which are just compositions of the class's interface. You kind of make the minimum restricted interface possible and then just build on top of that. I kind of half got that with the statics, but anyway, that's where we're at. We've got some file reading code, but yeah, we already have a custom binary format, so I'll probably just extend that for the things that we need. What we're doing, so the distance would be like return this minus v dot length. Oh, it's going to be, of course, sorry, it's not, it's going to take 2, isn't it? Const vector v1. It's been a long day. I say that every time, right? All right. I did have the distance, but I removed it when I rewrote it. Okay, fine. I will try and remember. Do I not have? Hey? Embed operands to binary expression. That seems wrong. Like, I can literally see the method here. What have I done wrong? Where have I? Anyway, I'll turn vector 3 dot distance. Oh, my brain is all over the place today. Okay. Entities naught dot entity position. Entities 1 dot entity dot position is less than, I don't know, something like 0.0, like 0.1f, like they are reasonably close to each other. I'm not doing collision detection or anything, I'm literally just checking whether they're close enough. Does that blend? Ooh, no. Just see if that works. I don't know what weird error is. How strange. Oh, of course, it's a header file, so which everything uses. So whilst we rebuild all that, oh, whoa, whoa. What is? How very strange. I don't understand why I can't subtract those two when it's literally well defined here. Unless it's something to do with producing a temporary. Is this a forward declaration problem? Can it not see these methods here yet? Saying that it returned a... No, it's just trying to convert. It can see the problem is it can see the vector 4 one and it's trying to convert them both to that. What I don't understand is, hang on, I think I know the problem. I think I know the problem. I think because these are specified in terms of, I should probably do this with all of them. But bring them all down the bottom just to keep all the implementation out of the header file here. I think the problem is, yeah, it couldn't. There you go. It couldn't see this existed. That'll work. We'll try and make a little puzzle game, I think. That's the current plan. We'll see it in a second. What am I being like dense here? Cannot result in a constant expression. Do I need? Yes, because how else will it know? It's not a. Unless it just figures it out. But how would it know that I'm implementing this, right? If I don't tie it to the class. Where else? I've done this somewhere else, right? Let's. Yeah, so I've got. Oh, these aren't const X. Is it to do with? It doesn't. Alright, let's just do it let's do it without const Expra, and then we'll figure out how to add that. Yeah, I mean, I hope it's kind of useful that like I'm 100% not perfect, and I'm still. I've been doing C++ for about a decade, and I'm still figuring a lot of it out. And there's lots of weird corner cases of the language where I'm like, this doesn't quite match my expectation. But you know, hopefully we're kind of all here for the ride, here to have some fun with it. That seems to be blending now. So why was I? So if I just, right, let's do this bit by bit, right? So if I make that constant, there's no reason why distance cannot be const Expra. Oh, wait a minute, of course. It can't be const Expra, because length can't be const Expra, because std hypot is not const Expra until C++ 26. Right, so I was being stupid. I've been hypotted. It's made a right mug at me. It's made me look like a right Burke. Okay. So level apple. That's there, and that does that. Why have I got a link error? Eh? I could roll my own const Expra hyper, or I could just wait. Right. I don't think you need the static there. Right. Let's have a look at how I did it in Matrix. No, you just look at is static auto there, and then you just declare it within that class. Oh, hang on, because I'm now missing vector 3 because I took that out. This is what everyone came along for. Watch me fart around with C++. Right. Be gone. Right, okay. So whilst that does its thing, let's go to main. And then I guess like, let me get rid of all this shite now. And then player update, level update, and then we'll just do like if level dot complete. And again, I want to change this so it comes off the bus. Running equals false. So if we win, the game should exit. That seems nice. C++ compiler errors seem to be much less self-explanatory than other languages. Is there a particular reason for this? It's not that they're... So one is probably historic reasons. Two, C++ tends to give you too much information, and then that's why it kind of becomes a little bit verbose. Well, what's my favorite example of this? Let me just okay. Okay, so Vim, thank you. To main f c out f. So here is kind of what I'm talking about. Like, okay, in this example, sure, it does tell you at the beginning, like, hey, there's no match for the operator, left shift the stupid stream operator. But then it's like, you still get on top of that, like, this is enough to fix the error, right? This is all you need, but it still feels the need to give you, I think it's like 10,000 lines of error messages, at least a couple of thousand, because it's like, but because of the way the language works, I'm allowed to do one implicit cast from this object to something that I know how to print. And I've tried them all, and none of them works, but I'm going to tell you about them. It's like, I know how to print a long, and I've tried converting it to a long, but I couldn't do that. And I know how to print a ball, and I've tried converting it to a ball, but I couldn't do that. Oh, I know how to print a short, but I've tried converting it to a short, and I couldn't do that. And it's like, it's giving you everything here. And I don't know why, when all this is here, but that's kind of part of the issue, is it actually gives you too much information. Yeah, and like a lot of it is complex, and the standard library is quite complex, especially when you get to iterators and all the templating, because it'll try and substitute types into different places, and a lot of it is potentially down to templates, where it will try lots of different substitutions and will tell you all the ones that didn't work. I think the running equals not level complete. Yeah, sure. I think that seems better. Why can't I see my keyboard? What's going on? Right, that's better. Okay, let's try that. I don't know why it's also like behind this. It's kind of a little bit annoying. Right. Brilliant. Okay, nailed it. I don't want to dwell too much on this because there's not... Well, I need to solve this problem eventually, right? And also, I just noticed then the escape key didn't work for exiting the game. So what was going on there? I used the Razer Huntsman Mini 2, the little 60% one. No worries. Alright. Right, see what's going on here. Yeah, I've removed one of the barrels. I only want two. I want a simple level where it's just moving one from one to the other. Okay. I drag this over here. Blech. Oh, do I just need a smaller tolerance? What's that? What's that? I want about there. So let's do less than one. Why is the escape key not working as well? Lots to fix today. It's going to be one of those days. It's going to be one of those days where we set out for great intentions and then nothing works. It's still running. Like, what is going on? I don't know why it's going to the back and. Oh yes, of course. Yes, I see what you. Yes, I see what you mean. Yeah, I'm overwriting the escape key because it's checking against the level each time. Okay, so that works. So I think I do actually want then if level dot complete running equals, because I only want that to change in the case where the level is actually complete. So we're not making an engine, we're making a game from scratch with just the features we need for the game. Okay, let's check. Okay, that still works. Okay, cool, nailed it. What's all this crap? Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to write a new shader, which is fun because we've not written one of those in quite some time. So copy sources, nope, assets. Simple frag to assets. I call it barrel.frag. If I spelled that right, B-A-R-E-L. Could be Portal 3. It could be something entirely different. It could be terrible. It almost certainly will be. Yeah, keeps you guessing. Keeps you guessing. Okay, so let's. What I wanted to do. Assets. Barrel frag. I wanted to change this to have another uniform. To have two uniforms. Uniform. Color. Vec3. And uniform. Sorry. And uniform float mix. I want to be able to tint the barrels so we can start differentiating between them just visually, so you can have like a blue one that has to move to a blue one kind of thing. That's what I'm thinking. And I figured what I should probably have to do is after we calculate all the lighting, if we do what do I want to do? I want to mix this with the, actually I don't like color. Color is overloaded. Let's do tint, color, and tint amount. So tint, color, tint, amount. Okay. I don't know. I've gone for tint. That kind of in my mind makes sense. Okay, so let's go back to main, and then we can go to simple frag and change that to barrel. And I think I want to change simple frag file to barrel frag file, and then that to that, and then this to barrel fragment shader, and then this to this, and then barrel material, and then finally somewhere down here when we pass all this in, FM barrel material. Okie dokie. So now we go to our Apple level, and then in the I hadn't considered this. How do I now influence those outside of the renderer? Tricky, because at the moment everything we have is in here, and any uniform we set on the material. Tricky. Hadn't considered that. How do we get that into there? So the problem is, on this material, I need to be able to do like set uniform, whatever. How are we going to solve this? So let's take a step back. Update changes the state, but also mutates the scene. I need to be able to inject custom functionality into the render paths, or I need to bundle the uniforms up somehow. Real Can Plays, subscribe, thank you very much, much appreciated. I'm going to break while I cogitate on this, while I go through the questions. I don't know about courses, but I think is it learncpp.com is supposed to be pretty good. Beyond Strauss Strip's book is also pretty good. In terms of projects, I think you can just find any list of starter projects on like the awesome lists on GitHub or something and just try those. But yeah, you just got to get yourself to a point where you're comfortable writing lots and lots of code. You can do code wars and stuff like that, but they're kind of small and self-contained. But I think if you just ask ChatGPT for like 10 beginners programming projects and then just tackle those in C++. Material comes from entity, so maybe store args on material in the entity. Yes, that is also a possibility. We could set them through that. So, can we set? The thing is, we have access to the uniform. What happens if you set a uniform before the program is bound? I assume it doesn't cache those, and like just apply them later. So I can't just do transformed entity dot material set uniform. What did I have it like? Tint color. Vector 3 1.0f 0.0f 0.0f 1.0f. I assume that's not going to work for me, right? Because there's no way I'm gonna give it a try, but I really hoping Harand might step in a minute and tell me that this is wrong. Because at this point, the material isn't bound, and I just can't see that working. It'd be nice if it did work. I just don't think it's working. Yeah, yes. I was kind of expecting a bit more out of the debug callback than just it dying, but I guess that's fine. So fundamentally, I need a way of being able to inject code into here. All right, you have to set custom uniforms, and I think I do want the flexibility of this. I think I do want to be able to extend the game to do this, because I think this will be infinitely useful later on to be able to influence it. Yeah, so I'm thinking of maybe just a callback. Can I... when I set up the scene, or even can each material... Right. So can this have something like... those are const methods, like const material, something like uniform callback, and then have a stud function is a wrapper around a function call. Effectively, you can pass in lambdas, you can pass in function pointers. It's basically a type erased function call. So it's kind of useful for encapsulating callbacks. Yeah, I mean, it potentially does a heap allocation. I don't care in this case, but it's just something to be aware of. Hey, Rodrigo. I think you can. Yeah, I like the idea. Like, I'm not convinced AI is going to take like my job anytime soon, but I can understand how if you're just setting out, it can seem a little bit daunting. I think leveraging it is ideal. Like, type in, like, write some code and then type it in and say, can you please review this code? It will give you, always take everything it does with a pinch of salt, but it will give you some constructive feedback on it. And it's a good way to start if you're running solo. But I think just asking for like project ideas and like how to get set up and like, why does my compiler not work? And how do I find the latest Clang and all this sort of stuff? Like, that is a great use of it. Alex, hello. Okay, I think I like this. I think I want to do stud using stud function void const material star uniform callback equals that. Okay, and then we can do uniform callback equals null pointer. Okay, that'll make that nice and easy. And then uniform callback. Oh no, actually, we want to be able to defer this, don't we? So let's do something different. Let's do auto set uniform callback. Uniform callback. Uniform callback. Void. Oh, I'm gonna have to make this non-const now, aren't I? And then auto invoke uniform callback, which I think can be const. Okay. Okay, right. We are. So I think this is actually really good. This kind of misery is actually quite good because I was very keen that we only write code that we need to at the time and aggressively refactor as we go along. And this is definitely one of those cases where I didn't plan to make the code so generic at the start that I could set custom uniforms, but now I need it. So now we're going to aggressively refactor it. I think it was the right decision to not plan for that then, because we would have spent a lot of time not knowing we needed it. Hindsight is 2020 and you can't always plan for that. So yeah, I think this is right. I think this is a good example of the kind of ethos we've got for this project. For anyone who doesn't know, uniforms are just like little bits of data that you can send to the graphics program as it's running, and it's available for all vertices and fragments. So now let's just implement these. What is? I'm having a day today. So uniform callback equals stirred move uniform callback, and then uniform callback this. And then I just want to make sure that gets definitely default initialized, because I've just realized a bug. I don't know if anyone else has seen it. If uniform callback, because you might not set one. It's a little bit gross, but I really don't think in the grand scheme of things it's too bad. So now we can go back to the level, and then when we're setting all this up, we should... Oh, this is actually not too bad. I believe the way I've done this now is I just have to pass in the non-const material here. And it will still be const within the scene, so I'm still not breaking that, which is nice. Now I should be able to do something like no name, became a member on YouTube. Thanks so much, much appreciated. The next video is out now, available for members, and I'm, spoiler alert, I'm probably gonna, if we finish this stream in a timely manner, I'm gonna release a new video tonight. So if you want to watch it before everyone else, you'd have to watch it now, but also don't leave the stream, so I'll let you figure that one out. So let's do this, and then what was it? Barrel material, set uniform callback. So now I can stick in a lambda. And if this needed access to the object, I could pass in this, and then I could access the state. So I could potentially have more complex logic in there if I need it. I think due to some refactoring, I allowed it to set uniforms that didn't exist, and I can't remember why, but I shouldn't. I'm trying not to widen my contracts too much, so arguably we should just leave that as undefined and then assert. I might go back and change that later. Is it possible to upload mesh to GPU memory? Yeah, that's what we do. This is what the mesh class does. It creates a little writer, writes the vertices, writes the indices, sets the formats, all the bindings, blah blah blah. So yeah, we do that. So I'm not using a gbuffer, I'm not using deferred rendering, I'm just using a simple forward renderer for this. I think that's all we're going to need. Again, I didn't want to do it because I didn't think we needed it. It's going to probably be a little puzzle game, I think. You'll see in a second. Right, okay. Let's go back to renderer. So now I should be able to do material invoke uniform callback. I don't know, let me know what you think. Do you think this is a good design? Do you think this is bad? Do you think it's complex? Did I remove it from the update? Is it still going to crash? Does not like my tint color. Why is that? Have I spelt it wrong? Nope. I mean, the canonical place to start is learnopengl.com if you want to learn OpenGL. Like, that's where I learnt. It's only, I say only, it's OpenGL 3.3? 3.6? It's OpenGL 3, not 4. But this is a great place to get started. Okay, let's debug this. So it doesn't like material 101. Okay, so I do. So it does have the missing uniform. That should be. I should change all these to asserts as well. Wait a minute, why is it calling the matrix one? Oh, can I not? Oh, that's really nasty bug. That what's happening is, so in C++, it's looking, I've called set uniform, which is an overloaded function, and I'm passing it an object, and it's gone again. It's going to try all the options, and it's like, it's going to see is what I passed it. Let me get the code up here so it makes more sense what I'm saying. This is good. This is a good bug. I've passed it a vector 3, okay, and it's gone. here's an overload set. I will now go through all of these and I will try and remove the ones that I know I can't call and see if I can end up with one function. If I end up with one, then I'll call it. If I end up with none, then I will give you a compiler error. Or if I end up with more than one, I will also give you a compiler error. It has to find one matching overload. So I've given it a vector 3, and as you'll notice here, I accept a matrix 4, an int, and a float. None of those are a vector 3. However, it may not feel like it, but C++ is on your side. It very much wants your code to compile. It's rooting for you. It wants your code to build. So what it's allowed to do is it's allowed to do one implicit cast from the object you've given it to any of these objects, and I bet there's a non-explicit matrix 4 overload that takes a vector. Yes, what it's done is it's seen this, and it's gone, I don't know how to pass it a vector 3, but I do know how to pass it a matrix 4, and I know how to construct that from a vector 3, so it's wrapped up. It's taken my color and turned it into a translation matrix. This should be explicit, I think so. That will prevent that implicit casting, so this should now give us a compiler error. Little fun mini dive into C++ language there. Here we go. Now again, this is the error we saw before. It's like I've tried this and it doesn't work, I've tried this and it doesn't work, and I've tried this and it doesn't work. Cool. Okay, so what I need to do now is make that work. I actually don't want to use vector. What I should be using is being way more explicit with this and doing color. That's what I should have done. So let's do color obj, material, it's going to yank this 105G, put that in there, and then what we should be able to do now is do geomatrix for 3FV, I think. I bet that's not my list of functions. Oh, right, so much to do. Okay, let me check what this is. GeoUniform, accept all. Right, so GeoUniform has all these, again, because it's a C API, it doesn't have function overloading, so it has to namespace all these separately. Which one do I want? I want whichever one allows me to pass a vec 3VF. I think that's the one I want. Explicit only works, well, at a high level, explicit only works with single argument constructors. It gets I think there's some weird interplay with the initializer list. If I've missed another single argument constructor, then yes, I should go back and add that, and I'll do that in a second. Yeah, very vague. I think this is because you can give it an actual matrix, right? But I think this is how you pass in a vec3. I think I'll have to double check that. Pass vec3 to GeoUniform. I don't want to pass an array of them. I just want to pass one. Yeah, I think it's 3FV. Okay, so it's GeoUniform 3FV. And this will take the location, the count, which I think is 1 because it's going to treat it like an array, get rid of this, and then we'll do C2F that stirred address of obj, right? And that should get us a float array. It's a little bit grim, that, but if we look at color, it's just 3 floats, so we should be able to just take the address of that and pass those in. If I ever reverse anything commercial, I mean, games are commercial, right? My whole view is that Reverse engineering is a little bit of a grey area, I think, especially on YouTube. The way I kind of justify it is I only look at things that you cannot buy anymore. I won't look at modern games or, you know, things that would anyway would in any way allow you to potentially circumnavigate paying developers for their hard work. But in terms of old games that no longer work or have interesting things to look at, then that's kind of fair game in my mind, especially if it's especially if it doesn't work anymore, like sort of game preservation. Would a good medium level project in C++ be creating a web server from scratch? I want to learn how HTTP and TCP work. I would suggest you first do a chat client. HTTP, just using TCP to get used to sockets. This is a project I recommend to a lot of people. Is take the C API on Linux or WinSock in Windows, whichever one, for connect, listen, bind, send v, rec v, whatever it is, and wrap all that up in C++ primitives. So you have RAI, it has automatic resource allocation. You can talk in terms of std string and std vector, and then create a little client server where you can connect to it and write messages back and forth. That's a really good starting place, and then you can keep building on that to do kind of whatever you want. Yeah, I think that's really good. That's kind of a good starting place. And then you can use Netcat to do the other side of it, so you can just focus on writing one side at a time, and then you can think about how you would unit test it, because it definitely is possible, but it is quite complex. Not quite complex, tricky. Okay, it's got to be color with a U. It's got to be color with a U. Okay, so where's our OpenGL functions? Not use this into. So for anyone who's not seen this in a while, we have to manually resolve all the OpenGL functions ourselves. Normally you would use a library like Glad, but we're trying to do as much of this from scratch as possible. So we have to literally go and find the address of the OpenGL function after we've loaded the OpenGL context. And this is where you end up with this list of what looks a lot like Welsh town names. So let me just add our new one here. So this is going to be GL uniform 3 FV proc, and then this will become GL uniform 3 FV. Definitely not pound sign. So in fact, every single OpenGL function we call is actually calling this set of pointers here, function pointers here, that we've resolved. Std address of just gets you the address of the object. It is the equivalent of doing obj, except that if the object unfortunately, C++ allows you to override the address of operator to do whatever you want, and std address of bypasses that. Oh, now I'm going to need to do something gross, and now I'm going to need to reinterpret cast const g float star. This is technically undefined behavior, is undefined to get access to an object to which has not been constructed. Like the program has not constructed a GL float, so to get a pointer to that is technically undefined. Although if you pass it into a C API, because you're not technically dereferencing it, if you're passing it into a C API where it is well defined, it might be okay. It's going to work, but this is kind of an interesting case here. Like until we get start lifetime as, this is kind of all you can really do. I could memcopy it into an actual float array like that, and the compiler would probably optimize it away. But sometimes it's just easier to slap in a reinterpret cast and just accept the consequences. Okay, so now back to level. Okay. We can get rid of we should be able to bring in color and do color .r equals .g equals .b equals. Okay. As I've said before, and I'll say again, that'll work. Ah, look at that. Tinted. I think we need to change this a bit, though, because what I want to do is be able to set different things based on the entity. No, I've not set up precompiled headers yet. I'm just kind of using, just not set it up yet. I never committed to getting data from files. I just said it's one of the things we need to do. In my mind, I wanted to do this first, which is try and build out like some notion of the level being complete and start wiring that in. Advice on how to land a job in software engineering. So yeah, pet projects. I'm not a big fan of leak code. As someone who does hiring, I'm not a big fan of leak code because I think it kind of assesses the wrong thing. Like, when are you ever going to need to invert a binary tree or know how to do that off the top of your head or whatever it is, or know the innards of some weird algorithm? But I do accept that a lot of places do that because screening and interviewing for software engineering jobs is difficult. And I suspect there is no right answer, just varying degrees of wrong answer. So I do understand why some shops do it. So if research the place you'll want to apply to, if they care about that, then yeah, you're gonna have to grind them as part of that, if that's kind of their interview process. I'm much more interested in projects and people's actual experience. And can you kind of, with pet projects, for me, if I'm interviewing someone, can you confidently talk through the code you wrote? Can you confidently say why you made certain design decisions? Have you tested it? How have you tested it? And then also, like, for me, I'll be asking, like, what have you learnt? And if you were to do it all over again, like, what would you do differently? That kind of ability to reflect on what you've done and demonstrate you've learned something is super important. I can't speak for any other interviewer in the world other than myself, because I'm just myself. But yeah, I'd also say research the company you want to apply for, get an idea of like what their interview process is. Yeah, it's tough, but it's doable. And anything you can, I think, what a lot of places are probably looking for is domain knowledge. So if you can brush up on the domain of whatever you're going into, I don't know, game dev, cyber, finance, whatever it is, demonstrate some like willingness and aptitude for that, then that kind of also helps set you apart. So I started. Yeah, and it also depends what level you're going in for. Like, if you're going in for a sort of a team lead, engineering manager, then you would expect to have a different set of skills than to like an entry level or junior developer. So there's that as well. It sounds like you're trying to maybe transition career, so it's definitely doable. You've got to demonstrate to someone that you can be trusted to do the job, right? That's largely what it's about. Can you be given a task and with some degree of autonomy, or at least after the expected, I don't know, 3 months, 6 months, can you kind of, with some degree of autonomy, get on and deliver value to the business? Because that's what they're hiring you for. I've worked with someone before who is, his opinion is that no one is paid to write code. You're paid to deliver impact to the business, and if the best way you can do that is to write code, then that's what you do. But if it was something else, then you would be doing that. So it's it's just a way of you to have an impact on an organization. Yeah, I have a couple of or I did have some, standard-ish C++ questions. You want to. It depends on the language, right? You would expect to be asked, "Can you understand the basics? Can you read code? Can you write code? Can you talk about code?" And then, what kind of person are you? Are you easy to get on with? Are you susceptible to feedback? Are you susceptible to, feedback, that kind of thing. It's tough. It's looking okay. It's looking a little bit like refactoring. Yeah, again, it's hard to give advice because every place hires differently. But that's what I look for, and that's what I'd hope people who are keen on. That's what I hope we can kind of move to more as an industry in terms of hiring. It's more about your passion and your domain knowledge, and building trust very quickly that you you can deliver impact. Code reviews are a two-way conversation between you and the reviewer with the ultimate goal of making the code the best it can be. And you should feel free to, you should push back if you don't agree on a comment or to seek clarification. But ultimately, the two or three or whatever it is of you should all be moving in the same direction. It's definitely not a competition over who knows the most niche knowledge or, in any way a sort of competition. That whole point is you're both of you striving to get the code in the best possible place. So I work a lot with interns and graduates, and I think one of the things that kind of always stands out for me is when you're at university, every project you've worked on, you've almost certainly written every single line of code, or you've at least sat next to someone who's written that code. You have huge oversight into the project and has kind of been with it from the start to the bitter end. And then you get into a professional software engineering world, and your first task will be, here's 100,000 lines of code that was written by someone who left 5 years ago and no one knows how it works. Here's a bug, go fix it. And that ability to navigate a large code base is such an important skill, and you can really only do it through practice. So definitely read open source code, try and navigate large code, try and practice navigating large code bases, because you can only really learn it by doing it. But yeah, I've been a professional software engineer for about a decade, mostly in C++, although I have done some C#, some Python, some React and TypeScript. I worked in cybersecurity for many years, where I sort of also dabbled in reverse engineering and stuff like that, which is why I kind of have some affinity for that. But I was primarily more on the forward rather than the reverse engineering side. Okay, but yeah, good questions. I'm happy to help, where I can, and provide some insight and guidance. But yeah, hopefully that was useful. Okay, so what I want to do is I need to change this, because I want to be able to introspect the entity. that it was on, because I might not want to set the same uniforms for every single entity that's being rendered. Okay, so that's better. Let's just bring in the entity. Okay, and now if we go back to our Apple level, this will no longer make sense, but we now can pass in const entity, and now what I want to do is go const auto tint amount equals entity equals entities 0 0.0f else 0.5f, and this is where I was saying it's useful now because it's a lambda. I can just slap this in here and get access to the members entity stood address of. I think that's right, and then this can be tint amount. Okay, so hopefully now we'll see that the target barrel is now fully blue, and then the other one is just tinted blue. So hopefully if we have multiple barrels, we can see like what is moving and what is the target effectively. Yeah, I'll try and, if I've missed that loghead, I'll try and remove it in a second. Bleh, what was I wrong? Like I said, it really depends on the place you're interviewing and the value they place on that. And I don't know what classifies as hard problems. The more code you write, like the better you'll get at it. So I think just finding opportunities to write lots of code is gonna help set you up. Oh, hang on, I know why. I know why. It's the call site, isn't it? Also, I think if you're looking to move into software engineering, I would recommend not being too married to any particular technology. Like obviously, if there's one you know and you spend a lot of time on, that's great. But the skills of just working in a professional environment, working with other engineers, debugging, resolving, like deploying, testing, designing, resolving prod issues, just writing code in that kind of environment, it doesn't really matter what the language is, you'll get so much out of it. So I would suggest casting a wider net on kind of opportunities rather like that, rather than just thinking like I want to be a C++ engineer. Like if that's, languages are just tools, and certain tools align themselves to certain problems, and maybe those are the kind of problems you want. But yeah, love the problem, not the solution. That's better. Okay, that's what I want to see. Okay, I don't think that's too bad actually. It's a little bit maybe a little bit unintuitive, but I think in terms of abstraction, I don't think it's too bad. I think it gives us the level of control we want without being too intrusive. I don't know. I absolutely cannot advise just going indie. I think I learned the most from being in a room with someone who is much, much smarter than me and learning from them. And I always strive to not be the smartest person in the room, because then you kind of run out of opportunities to learn. So there is a job is a job, right? And there's good bits and there's bad bits, as is just life. But there's a lot to be learnt from a professional software environment. Why did I not stick those in here? That's after debug lines. Of course it is. Ooh, steady. Check that still blends. Whoops. Yeah, like always be learning, right? Always be looking to improve yourself. I think it's just generally good life advice. I don't know why this is appearing below. It's really annoying me. What have I done wrong? Okay. That's one of the perils of the industry is sometimes you get stuck on legacy code and there's inertia to move, either valid or invalid. But it's, there's still, you should be able to still find potentially a challenge, and from that some fun or enjoyment from it. Okay, let's comment this up. So we've made quite a few changes. Oh, wasn't there another matrix for? Yes, this should be explicit, as should this. Let's check that still blends. I worked for a company where it was all C++ 03. And yeah, sure, like you miss lambdas pretty quickly, but there's still interest. The domain was interesting. The problems they were solving was interesting. Again, like love the problem, not the solution. C test. I do like cats. I have two. One of them is in the next video. Spoilers. I just heard one of them outside the office. Okay, right. Let's comment some of this up. So let's do make ctors explicit. Add distance method. Add OpenGL function. I think this is going to be largely just sort of like add callback for setting uniforms, and then commit set barrel tints, and integrate changes. My favorite. Right. If the cat comes scratching on the door, I'll do the cat cam. Do you think commenting your code is a must? So, yes, and I've not done it live stream, so I'm a massive hypocrite. But I think being disciplined to comment your code is good. And so, if you force yourself to do it when you don't have to, I think you maintain that discipline and gets you thinking more about what you're documenting and why. But I'm a massive hypocrite because I've not done it. I would consider myself an over commenter, and I've not done it at all in this project, so I'm a little bit of a hypocrite. But yes, I generally think it's good. When I eventually manage to open source some of this, I'm hoping to have some time to go and properly document it, so at least people who are looking at it offline for, I don't know, inspiration or just see what's going on, it'll be a little bit easier to understand, especially if I'm not just standing there explaining it. The lightsaber's from Disney World, Florida. It's pretty sweet. It's pretty purple. Violet, I think they call it. Comments don't lie if you keep them up to date. So again, it's a discipline thing. Like, yes, there is an inherent, I guess, shift in the code and the comments, but again, it's all part of the discipline of keeping up to date. And again, if you're doing code reviews, part of the code review should be, do the comments still make sense? It was, yes, it was not a cheap purchase, but one that I'm glad I made. Where are we at? What are we doing? What are we doing with our lives? A little time left. Okay, I'm quite pleased with this. I think this is good. I think the next thing to do is, the other thing I need to do is abstract all this away. That was the other thing I wanted to do at some point. Probably not now, maybe next stream, is we need some sort of resource cache that we can load up and retrieve from, rather than having to pass in all this gubbins. I think I want to put this message on the bus as the next thing to do. So let's have a look at this. So in order to receive messages, we need to be a class, because we have to subclass the subscriber base class. Yeah, well, we'll do more level with, well, I don't want too many fruit levels, because ideally I want to be able to do it data driven, so that we can start building stuff up at a much more rapid pace without having to create classes, compile them, work them into CMake, compile them, link them all up, not, you know, like wire them all up. So let's start with this. I think we can lift and shift almost all of this to a new class called game, which just does this. I think that's what we want. Yeah, we'll do two, at least two, so we can check that they cycle. But yeah, I think for now I want that cycling to be done outside of the levels, either via a level manager or via the game, but again through messages like level complete post. So that's am I all commented up? Right, okay, so let's have already hate everything. Right, let's try game.h. Yeah, we're gonna have a game. And this is gonna have messaging. Was it game messaging? I can't remember where it was. No, it's just messaging. Okay, messaging subscriber. This is gonna have a public subscriber. That's just how I write code. Like, I just here, like, I'm not actually doing anything. I've got a second keyboard unplugged that I just type a lot on to make it sound busy. Do I know how the main menus work? Nope, no idea. I'm going to figure all that out when we get to it. I suspect some sort of rendering overlay or something. I really don't know. We're going to figure that out when we get to it. It'll be a voyage of discovery for us all. I did use a physics engine, so my opinion on separating axis theorem is minimal. Okay, so we're going to need the message bus, because we're going to... So what? Level complete. And then, so we're going to do auto post level, oh my goodness, complete string view level name, I guess, just like some indicator of what level was completed. Which means each level will have to have a name, but sure, fine. And then from there we can go to subscriber. We can do have a virtual handle level complete with the string view, unhandle message, and then we'll do our fake reflection trick. Handle level complete. Oh, okay. It just allows us to kind of self-register the class. All this does is it allows us to self-subscribe to messages based on which of the virtual methods we have overridden. At least that's the theory. It seems to work so far. I'm not convinced it's not undefined or implementation defined behavior, but let's keep going. Oh yeah, complete all. Thank you. I use in my, if I was to weigh in to the font discussion, I use Fira code with ligatures. I want a game constructor. I think I want like just like run, which will just keep going until to exits, and then I'm gonna want. I think I've made a mistake here. I think these need to be protected, right? Because you don't want anyone to be able to call that on the object. That might break some other stuff. But we'll see. We shall see. That's pretty much like all I want, because literally what I'm going to do is just shove everything in main into here. Okay. Virtual means it can be overridden, so it means a deriving class can provide its own implementation, and then if you call it through the base class, it will call your derived one instead. It uses something called dynamic dispatch. Yeah, I would recommend this. If you're new to NeoVim, I would recommend LazyGit. It is no, that's LazyGit. Sorry, Kickstart. Sorry. I would also recommend LazyGit, but my brain's gone dead. I'd recommend Kickstart. It is a kind of base point for NeoVim configuration with like a load of sensible plugins and configurations, and it's basically what I use. I have Kickstart with a very few couple of extra plugins and some slight tweaks. Yeah, it's better to use string view because it's a non-owning reference to the underlying string. So it's just a pointer and a size, basically. But it doesn't guarantee. You have to be as with all things in C++. There's a bear trap waiting to happen. You have to be careful with string view because it doesn't guarantee there's a null byte at the end. So you have to be careful if you're passing it to like C functions that expect it. Let me just. I mean, yeah. There's the high chaos, high entropy nature of the layout of my project reflects the organic nature in which we've been building it, is all I'll say. And then, right, so let's start lifting and shifting all this stuff over. To be honest, could do a lot of this in run. Like, do I need to make all these member variables when run is just going to start and run in an infinite loop? Like, 44 down to that's deep. Hang on, how do I do that? Case sensitive. It's an S game. I and C. Access C. How do you case insensitive replace? Vim case sensitive find replace. There's some rune I'm missing. I, okay. That's it. Nice. Right, it's a little bit gross this, but it kind of gets us where we want to go. So now main becomes hash include game hash include game exception.h hash include log.h. All right, and then I'm not saying this is right. I'm saying this is Easy. To the string view, like resource path, isn't it? Something like that. So wherever I use argv, yeah, resource loader, so root, resource root. String view resource root, and then this can just be resource root. Fix these up while I was here. I'm trying to keep consistent, like declaration style, I guess, where it's auto variable name equals type. Yeah, thanks, I missed them. No, this will fix it. This will fix itself in a second. It's my terrible tooling. Okay, so main. We ensure that they have that, and then I do game. Means all the exception handling is now outside of the game, which is nice. So then we do auto game. Oh, what am I doing? Auto game equals game. G equals game g dot run arg v1. Oh, that's it. That should work. So let's go to cmake source level. Sorry, sf cmake in the game.cp. All right, this is not going to work. So let's just get some compiler errors and start fixing them. I have a thought in the back of my mind for like hot loading and rapid iteration. We're not quite there yet, but I do have some thoughts. Again, we don't need it now, so I'm not doing it. Ooh. Oh, it's just because I've changed that to protected. Oh, no, wait a minute. No, it can't be because the message bus has to call it. I'd have to friend message bus. Which might not. Or use the pass key. Right. I'm just going to leave this out, revert this for now, and then we'll fix that as a separate thing because there's a we should use the pass key to fix that. Ensure that's in error, I think. Error. Okay. Hash include IO stream. Hash include print. Okay, that seems to be a little less grumpy. I mean, games should just work, right? We've lifted and shifted code we already know works. It's just be like includes and scoping. Okay. So we should be able to do log debug level ended level name. Okay, and then into the level itself, we would now need to pass in the message bus. Message bus. Message bus. Level C, and then messaging, message bus. Right, nearly there. Message bus to go into bus. Try and keep consistency where I can. Okay, so now we can move this, and at the end of this we can do if bus dot post level complete apple. Just keep that wide in there for a second. Okay. God damn it. Oh, of course. This now needs to have a bus. Oh, have I just not implemented that function? That's really funny. You wait all day, then two show up at once, am I right? Helps if I actually implement the method. And then wire that in there. Level complete. It's not an event anymore, isn't it? That's level name. Alright, okay, now we're getting there. This'll work. No, not streaming till 23 today. I'm aiming to finish kind of close-ish to 10, 22, whatever it is, 2200, because I want to release the next video tonight and kind of hang around for an hour or so to watch the analytics come in, hang around on Discord, just kind of respond to some comments. So yeah, probably Normally too late on this tonight, but new video, which is exciting. Thank you. Much appreciated. That just die? Or is it? Oh, it's working. Okay. Okay, cool. So this now, if we stick these here, we Nope. Nope. Sorry, because I know what's wrong. Yeah, I'll talk a bit more through what we're doing in a second, but let's make sure that we actually subscribe. What was my fancy method called where I did it all automatic? It's static. Oh, I can just call it on myself. No, that's subscribe. Right, okay, fine, we can do that in here. After the bus, we can do this bus. So we'll actually subscribe to the messages, and actually now we don't need a constructor because it's empty. Okay. Let's try it again. Blur. I guess they all have to be public for someone to be able to post a message to it, unless we use some friending classes. I'll have to think about it. Okay. We'll try and fix this for next year as well, because this is tedious, right? So if those now intersect where we consider the level to be complete, right, that now prints it. Okay. Okay, so now we can do... already regretted this because I do actually now need it. Ball running. Running true. Running all this now. Nope. So now we can remove the level complete, and here set running equals false. I've accidentally removed what's going on? What happened there? Okay. And now I suppose we can keep the log info now. Level complete. Level name. Okay. Right, so we got our barrels. This one moves when we look at it. It doesn't move when we don't look at it. And then if we get it to go to the target, the game ends and we completed the level. Whew. Right, let's quickly add level complete message. Actually, no, we're not quite done yet, are we? Because we no longer need this. just removing the old method now that we're going via the boost. Just check that blends. Okay, nice. Okay, so let's do remove complete method, and then lift and shift main into class. What do we think? What are we thinking? I think that's pretty good. I'm quite pleased with that. Yeah, main's looking pretty good. Like, I've literally just shifted all the misery somewhere else, but like conceptually it is not too bad. Let's just fix that. I need to fix this warning for log at some point because it's driving me mad, but the more I work with the logging function, the more misery we seem to bring upon ourselves. I think pausing and menus and stuff, I'm all going to just wire in later. Like, I'm prepared to pay that misery later and it be slightly more complex, but not do it now because I want to focus more on getting a game loop, getting a gameplay, getting some levels, getting the meat of the game together, and then adding all that stuff afterwards. Sound, saved games, accessibility, key remapping, all this sort of stuff we're going to do live. We will do it, but just not now. I want to get something more in lines with the game first. Okay, so that's pretty cool. I'm quite pleased with that. I'm just using NeoVim with Tmux. So next stream, sorry, next stream, my plan is to probably pull all the resources into some sort of cache so that levels can just take a reference to that and pull out the things they need rather than passing everything to every level at the same time. So level cache, then will be a second level, orange, kiwi, something I can spell. And then wire that up into the game class so that you can progress from one level to the other. So when you complete a level, it moves you on to the next one, checks that everything's unloaded correctly, kind of all that sort of jazz, and then exits the game at the end because we have nothing better to do at the moment. And then refactor all of the levels to be data driven so that we can just define them in a YAML file or something like that, so that we can then easily iterate on levels, and hopefully we can, like, together over a couple of live streams, maybe bash out like 5 to 10 levels, or start figuring out the stuff that we're missing to make that fun. So there might be more functionality that we need to write, but that will drive it. So be like, oh, it would be really cool if a level did this, and then we do it. And I kind of want to start distributing this at some point as well, like just for people to test it, because like it works fine on my machine, but how about everyone else's? So what I'll do is probably do a build and release that on Discord so we can kind of chat about versions. So like, you know, after it'd be nice. Where I want to get to is stream twice a week, and at the end of the week do a release, and then like the first stream of the week might be resolving bugs and kind of responding to feedback, and then the second stream is maybe pushing more towards the end goal, and then do a release, which I think would be quite fun. Yep. Joe became a member on Facebook, much appreciated. Why is that moved down there on the overlay? Oh, it's because it's a different scene. Yeah, you should definitely throw it into wine, see what it does. I'm sure it's fine. I'm absolutely not sure it's fine. Right. Thank you everyone for coming along. I've had a grand evening. I hope you have too. Lots of good questions, lots of progress, good fun. We shall meet again Sunday to do some more game dev. I'm going to wrap it here a little bit earlier because I'm going to release the next video now. So I'll be hanging around for a bit on Discord, check the comments, but it should be good. and I will catch you guys on Sunday. But thanks very much for coming along, and enjoy the rest of your week.